Here's our dyno sheet. So let's go ahead and give it a wash, make it look pretty, call the customer, and then try and organize it with the body shop to get the other parts taken care of. So let's go ahead and get it ready to wash. One of the terrific things about an S2000, if you didn't know, they have probably one of the fastest soft top and raise and lower of any car. Check this out, look how fast this is. It's like 8 seconds. Well, I'm going to start this video on a bit of a downer. A downer in two ways. Today is Saturday. This was supposed to be my track day. I was supposed to be at the firm right now with my Z06, having fun, driving around the track, having a good time, enjoying the car, hanging out with friends. But this week has been one of those weeks that just didn't go as planned. Few things came wrong, few things came in late. Had a car, took a long time to diagnose, and I needed to get them back to the owners because this is next week's job. This car came all the way from California, and it was one of those deals where it was supposed to be here the week before, and it came right down to the wire. It's 11:30 on Saturday. I was supposed to leave my house at 5 a.m. to go to the firm and be racing. Well, they couldn't give us an exact time when this car was going to be here. It was one of those wishy-washy, you never know when it's going to show up, and if you're not here, the truckers usually just go on to their next job, and who knows, it could be in another state, and then when they come back to you, it could be 2 or 3 days later. So that would completely mess up my schedule. So it sucked. I had to cancel my trip. So I'm a little bummed, but you got to be positive. When things don't go the way you want, you got to make the best out of it. Also, this belongs to a good friend of mine. Started having main bearing problems, rod bearing problems, started rattling. Kind of one of those things. He's had it for, I don't know, about a year since he bought the car. It had a little bit of a rod knock, and it just progressively got worse. So before it let go, he supplied us with a complete replacement motor and spoon calipers. That is probably one of the nicest looking calipers there are in existence. So long story, put a new motor in that. Now that car is good to go. The car we were having problems with on the dyno, it's a whole long drawn out explanation, so I'm not going to say what it was, but it was one of those things. It was in the fuel supply system, and it took a long time to figure out exactly what it was, and it was some problems that caused havoc through the whole fuel system, so we ended up replacing the whole thing. So this is my job for next week. Next week, George is going to be off. It's George's birthday on Monday, and he asked for the week off several months ago before this whole pandemic, thing just messed up everyone's schedule. Luckily, we are busy. It just means I'll be working on this car completely solo. So that's what's going on here. That's my little bit of bad news. 4 or 5 of my friends are racing right now. As we speak, I am here at the shop. But like I say, you got to be positive. At least I have a job. At least I'm surrounded with stuff I like. All right, good morning. It is just me today. George is off. It's his birthday today, so if you see him on social media, go ahead and wish him a happy birthday. Because Esther is not here, it's just me, so I'm going to be working on this car solo, so I'm going to be limited of what videotaping I will do, because I'll be working more than filming. Usually I just pick up the camera along the way, and people are going to complain, hey, you didn't answer your email, I emailed you 4 minutes ago, you didn't respond. This is always the priority over what is in the mail. This always takes precedence. So I'll be checking the mail 2 or 3 times a day and trying to answer a couple of emails as we go. Hopefully everybody had a good Mother's Day, and the mothers out there, hopefully you had a great day. This is what I made my wife. So I found bits of scrap from titanium that we make. Tube, nice thing about tube is it's already got the shape that I need to make those pedals. You got to shape it around. So having tube, it's already got that natural shape. So I'll put a bigger picture in there and show you it. But basically made my wife a titanium rose, shaped the pedals, and blued it, made a little like a vase, like a little titanium tube made of play. Yeah, anyway, I'll show you it. I'm gonna go through the list on this, show you what I'm gonna do. This is how we typically do it. Is you would put an order together, you say, I want this, this, and this. Esther writes it all down, emails you it, you email back and say, yes, this is what I want to do. She puts it in this blue book here, which she hasn't been here in like 53 days. and we still have months of work that she has put together. So I'm gonna put this list down. What I typically do is put it on this board here. That way we have a visual rather than having to pull out the book and look. We just look at the board and check things off. It's a good way to make sure we don't forget anything. So hopefully the lighting is good. I'm filming this on a GoPro 7. Reason I'm using this is this was one of the cameras I was going to take to the track. It was already charged. I don't want to leave it sitting there charged, so I'm like, hey, let's just use it. So this is some of the pile of parts he has. These two large boxes are carpet. The carpet on the S2000 is separate. There is a right carpet and a left carpet, and there's a few of the miscellaneous parts there we'll show you later. But the car is dirty. I was going to wash it first thing, but it's raining outside. It's kind of yucky. It was raining all day yesterday, so I want to wash it at the end. No sense in washing it and bringing the car in wet. So mileage is 25,708. So he has a snorkel right here. Just a small present for the shop. Thank you for your passion and all what you do. Open with care. Thank you. Take a look at that in a minute. These are some of the things that he has supplied. He wants installing a header. Let's go ahead and pull this out. Who makes this header? Let's see, Jay's Racing. Used to sell a lot of these back in the day. It's supposed to be a very good header for the S, and nothing in there. Fluid, gasket, something Jay's Racing, and a snorkel for the Airbox. Cool. Let's see what we have right here. I'm trying to do this one-handed with a GoPro. Look at that. That's pretty cool. That is nice. That is obviously his car. That is very cool. And this looks like a stand to hold it. What a great idea. I've never seen these before. That is really cool. So one thing to note, when you remove the wheels, always put something down on the floor. Often the tire doesn't stick out more than the rim. In this case it does, but if you put this down you could scratch the rim, even though it's on the back side of the rim. These are obviously fancy wheels, but even if they're not, still the customer wheels. You don't scratch the customer wheels just removing them. So I'm gonna do another one over here. So this towel, real quick, just want to give you a quick history on this towel. Logo over here says Treasure Island. Of course it's a little bit dark. So real quick, about 20 years ago I was working here, of course, and I was the only one working. I just did a GSR swap on a customer's car. It was a 92 or a 93 EG. Did a GSR swap, gave myself I think three days to do it, even though it took me a day and a half. The final day was driving it, making sure everything was good, cleaning it. Anyway, halfway through the first day, the customer calls me and he said, no big deal, but if you have the time, can you make an intake for the car? Nothing fancy, just a tube with a filter rather than using the GSR box. He said, but don't worry about it. If you don't have time, not a problem at all. So, long story, I live 8 miles from the beach. I never get to go to the beach. I like the beach, but I don't get to go there. This was the same 20 years ago. Long story, I finished the car. Everything was good. This was day 3. It was due to pick it up day 4. I closed up the shop, got in my car, grabbed my beach shorts, drove to the beach, got a parking spot, realized I didn't bring a towel, went to one of those places on the beach where you spend like 30 bucks on a $5 towel, got this towel, went over to the beach, laid the towel out on the floor, a little bit nicer than that, laid down on the towel, laid there, kind of just looked at the water, so thought, you know, this is so cool, I own my own business, I can take off and go to the beach whenever I want. Sat there for about 5 minutes, thought to myself, I have a customer's car in my shop that wants an intake. It's going to take me 2 hours to build an intake. I want to make the customer happy. I want to make money. What am I doing laying on the beach? I was on the beach 10 minutes. I was gone. This is the towel.
You sort of box better, and I think, no offense to
old front suspension off. Now he is replacing this with some brand new CR shocks right here. It's doing CR front and rear shocks and swift lowering springs. So let's go ahead, take all the rest of the suspension off, get those springs put on the shocks, and put them back on the car. All right, shocks and springs put together using the original top hats and hardware. Just makes it easier when the spring companies do the lettering, tells you front and rear. Often, used to be the old days, you used to put the heavier spring on the front. If you ever see the spring rate, rule of thumb used to be heavy spring on the front. Well, on an S2000, that is not the case. Often they're very similar, but they have a different progression in the spring. You see the tight coils, then the loose coils, there is the different progression, whereas some of them have obviously even spacing. So nice to make our life a little bit easier, or should I say my life, because it's just me, myself, and I, as they say. So rear ones are next. Got to take the rear shocks off to get the hardware, the top hats, and then we can go ahead and put these, again I say we.
Are you ready to switch mobile providers?
Alright, so this J's header has to be one of the lightest I think I've picked up, so let's give it a quick measure. It's impressively light. I'm thinking it's probably 8 to 9 pounds. Ready? 10 pounds 2 ounces. In there. Sometime in the future when we have a website, I'm gonna offer those, but for right now I don't. New shocks are on new springs. It's actually coming together, been cranking now for 2 days, a lot of work. Now I've got to take a break and go do some emails and answering some PMs, all that kind of stuff, just trying to do what I can as I can. But everything is looking good. I'm going to do the Airbox Mod next, and interior parts, and put the AEM in there and the AM wideband controller, which that will be one of the last things needs to be done. Then I'm waiting to hear back on the color correction. I'm trying to get the color correction done while it's here, and I'm also waiting back on the paint shop, so I'll keep you abreast of that. All right guys, another day, still working on the S2000. I'm going to show you real quick. I've talked about this Airbox Mod. In fact, a video went up just the other day, and it was the titanium arm which replaces this piece right here. It does flare from 3" up to 3.5, so you can run the factory filter or the K&N filter, which is what we like to do. Now the Airbox Mod, this is kind of funny. Let me just address it real quick. I get people arguing with me about it, and like I tell people, I'm just sharing what I found, what I've seen. I'm not trying to sell you it, so I don't really care to sell you it and tell you to do it. I don't care. Don't do it. If you want to do it, do it. But basically what the idea of this box is obviously to filter the air going in the engine and to keep the air as cool as possible. Well, like I mentioned, I've seen race teams use different air boxes and different modifications to do different things. Now, to put a car in a dyno right how it sits and do a full throttle run and then try a different intake tube, you'll actually find if you take all this off and run an open throttle body out into the atmosphere, it'll make more power than anything. Now things change when you get heat soaked. Close the hood, the whole engine bay gets heat soaked. This is sucking in the same temperature as in the engine bay. Of course, the hot air rises. This is at the top of the engine bay. It's going to be sucking in hot air. You're not going to make any power. The LHT intake, I'm not even going to call it an LHT. It's an intake mod. It's just do it yourself. I don't call it somebody else's if you want. But the idea is to remove this partition here, which this obviously, if we was to rotate this straight up and put it in the air, it would make the most power. So we're trying to give as much access to this area of air we can. So by removing this wall here, this allows more volume in this box, and this is more of a dedicated source. This is allowing cool air to come in here. This box over here is a resonance chamber. All it does is reduce some of that really loud VTEC roar, which we like. The regular driving guy doesn't like it. He wants it to sound like a normal car. So Honda has to compromise between the VTEC enthusiast and the guy that just drives a car. What we do is, I'll take this off, but we plug the hole down here with some of the material we remove from here, and it's just for sound. It has no performance benefits, so it doesn't do anything. It's just allowing to eliminate that sound and allowing more noise. So real quick, on the lid, this little piece here, which again, it sits this way, and it's to divert the air over to the filter. Again, it's more for resonance. We're removing that wall there and removing this little scoop here. It allows more access to air. There's not a whole lot of horsepower in it. Between doing this modification and changing that filter to the K&N replacement, I've seen it make 6-7 horsepower, but it's consistent with the hood down, the engine hot, makes power run after run after run. Okay, so if you cut yourself a piece, it should look like this. Just take off the, the raggedy edge. Just used a bandsaw to cut this, but just make sure there's no loose ends. You want to put a cut in it like this, a little step. I'll show you why it fits in the airbox. And you're going to use a little bit of Honda Bond to glue it in there, but it will fit a little bit nicer. Let me show you. So this is our little piece right here. This is our step. It's going to go in like this. It'll be a nice little hold for it. I can get my fingers in there. See that? That's how it sits. You're just going to put a little bit of glue around there. That way it can be removed if need be, but of course there's no reason to. All you're doing is cutting off that chamber. Okay, so this is the replacement K&N filter. A lot of people get just a generic cone filter and stick it in there. Get this one, I'll show you the part number, but you see it has, let me go ahead and take it out of the plastic, but it has the little mounting point, and it's the exact size for the hose. You see the little mounting tab? I mean, K&N is a good brand, it's good quality stuff, and it's gonna fit perfect, exactly the same measurements right there. Of course, it's much higher flowing, so I'll share that part number, but this is the one you gotta get. Look at that, fits exactly correct. It's got the little notch that lines up with the hose. The little tab fits in there, and as you see, I've got my little piece in there. That is going to set up. I'd leave that 24 hours to glue before you drive it, just to make sure that it doesn't come loose. Then of course the lid, let me show you that real quick. We just removed that extra piece out there, and again, all we're doing is allowing much more volume on the intake box and allowing it to suck more air less restrictively. Alright, so I'm test fitting the J's snorkel right here, trying to figure out where it will fit the best. It looks like that should really go in that groove, but it doesn't quite fit right, and it has to screw with the supplied screws down to here. So I'm playing around with this a little bit. One thing, I just had to remove the radiator bracket because it rubs that. I'm going to have to trim that down and shape it around that Kevlar. If not, it's going to rub through it and crack it. So this, we're going to find out exactly where it likes to sit. It looks like it sits better there and lines up, even though I'd like to see it go further back. Let me see if I can relocate that wire, because it looks like that groove should fit in there. That wire is holding it up there. Alright, so we mounted it. The wire, actually, if you unplug it, you can actually clip it into the backside using the same holes. That way it's supported and it's in the same direction. So I didn't use the screws that they provide. For one, they're not long enough, and two, if it pushes down completely flat, it puts a little bit of pressure on here. Obviously, you see it fits in there really nice. So what we did is put a threaded boss in there, one of the crimp 6mm one, so it looks nice. It actually looks like that with a little bit of a brass ring around it. Now we can put a nicer fitting in there, and I put a rubber washer under each side. And what I did is when I put the threaded boss in there, I put a little bit of sealant around it so it wouldn't get any rust on the paint, and it would seal it around. But now we've got a much more attractive fastener, and it doesn't crank it down and put pressure on this. So I painted these pieces right here, just waiting for those to dry, then we can put it back together. I'll tell you what's funny, the black stuff I showed you earlier, it's all over the place. It's almost like, I don't know, it's like tar or bits of burnt plastic. I mean, it's everywhere. It's weird. It's all over the place. And then this grill right here, it's loaded in here. Look at this. It's like, maybe it's tar from the road. Anyway, here's a scoop to the intake. I think this is probably one of the best intakes with the Airbox Mod and this snorkel right here. I think it's about as best of a cool air intake as you could possibly get. I'm actually excited. It's the first time I put one of these on in probably 10 years. We used to do them back in the day when everybody got on the bandwagon and none of them fit very well. Well, this is the J's. Obviously it's a more expensive piece, but it fits right. Obviously a little bit of trim in here. I wouldn't use the supplied screws, but other than that, it fits nice. Now this over here, I didn't remove all of this. I just cut that section out so that it still has some of the insulation in here, but it's still easy to access this if you need to get it back out. Real quick, look what Bruce just dropped off. Amazon pantry. This thing is heavy. Let's take a look, see what we got. Using a razor here. George is not here, so I'm trying not to use his gang knife. Yeah, beautiful. Some LHT blue juice. Look at that. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Is there a note in here? Look how well it's packaged. That's pretty cool. Is there a note? No. Awesome. Well, whoever said that, thank you so much. It is much appreciated. There is usually like a label says from somebody, and you can scan it. Doesn't say, it just says from Amazon. Anyway, whoever sent that, thank you so much. Much appreciated, really. All right, so here's lunch. I'm gonna go ahead and eat my Chick-fil-A. I got a nice healthy salad, so Esther will be proud because she tries to make us eat salads more than fried food. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat this. Done pretty good on the list. I'm gonna start on the interior parts next, and then of course install the AM-V2. Did I put it on here? The AM wideband controller. Yeah, there it is, right next to it. Gotta put that on there. Then we tune it and go over it, make sure everything is good. All right, so it's all back together. Let's go ahead and sit the GoPro here, lower it down. Let's see how those springs look. Remember, this is the CR shocks and the Swift lowering springs. So you intrigued what's in the super large box? Let's take a look. Do this one-handed. Ready? What do you think of this? Ashtray. Actually, you know what? I think I mentioned it before. It's one side of the carpet. First off, I gotta say, using this GoPro camera is tedious. If you shut it down, it sometimes doesn't want to boot back up. Now I know why I don't use the GoPros very often. So, seats are out. Now it's time to start taking all this plastic trim out, center console, side pieces. I'm gonna start on one side and then go to the other and see what is involved in getting the carpet out. So, the carpet is in really good shape until you start looking at it close. And you can see it's flattened down here where somebody's had their feet on it, but other than that, it's not holier in any way. It doesn't seem like, just here. But you know, we're all looking at making our car as nice as it can be, and he has a new panel here. This is like one of those pet peeves of mine where people get in and out of your car and they drag their feet across this. So he's got a new one of these too. Okay, so I have taken a lot of S2000s apart, a lot of similar things, but never taken out a carpet. So there's a first for me. It's not too difficult. There's a bunch of little clips, and of course the dead pedal over there and the dead pedal over here by the clutch. Just as a side note, this guy here, it just presses in, just in case you ever run into that. Never taken one apart before. I looked at these rivets and thought to myself, there is no way Honda put rivets in there for you to drill out and re-rivet for replacing a carpet, because they're pretty smart like that. And they didn't. It just pushes in on these clips. It comes out pretty easy. And again, everything else is clipped. So this side is out. Let's go ahead and put that back in. There's the old one. There's the new one. Always good to double check part numbers before you start tearing things apart, which I did. You never know if somebody brings you the wrong part, you tear the car apart. But little things like that, look how nice that is. The carpet's nice and sparkly. And I would be OCD with this thing. I would put like a carpet protector over this and then my floor mats, just because I'm crazy OCD. And I know some of you follow the same mindset, which is probably why you watch our channel. It's not, I don't call it OCD, I call it OCD because other people can relate to it, the non-car people, the dedicated car people, the major enthusiasts in protecting what they have worked so hard to achieve. I call that car guy mentality. We'll call it OCD for the rest of the world, because the rest of the world doesn't get it. They'll think you're nuts. So there's the old one. Let's put the new one in. All right, one side done. I just went ahead and give it a quick vacuum just to get a little bit of the dust bunnies off there, but look how nice that looks. It's almost too nice to put your feet in there, which before we tune it, I think I would have put paper down because I do not want to put footprints on that. All right, new carpet is in. He has a new piece for here, so I'm not going to put that on until the end. I'm not going to put this panel back on because we're going to be putting the AEM V2 computer in there, so I'm not going to put it back together and take it back apart. Hey, you forgot to put your shift knob on. That's because there is a new one in here, and I don't want to put it on until the end because I don't want to scuff up the shift knob, because if this customer is anything like me, is OCD, and he doesn't want somebody else's sticky hand on there, he wants his sticky hand on there. So I'm going to leave that right until the end. In fact, I might just put the old one on there until it's ready to go, then screw the new one on. He can be the first one to put his hands on it. So again, some of you guys are going to think that is way too OCD. Well, the customers I'm dealing with, I can relate to them because it's the way I am. So I try and treat them the way I want to be treated, and I'm super picky. So everything looks good under here. I'm going to go ahead and start it and run it. I haven't had a chance to double check everything. It should be good. Of course, the intake and header isn't going to change anything, but it's always nice to start it just to make sure. Before we do any tuning, I'll go ahead and shut that off because I don't want to breathe in any more fumes than I do already, but super nice.
Turn all the way inside, so a little more help, a little along that side. Throttle, watch your brakes on the left, throttle left.
All right, so have you any idea what I'm showing you right here? So if you was wondering, that's my NSX right there, my orange NSX, the 2019, hence the orange seatbelt. If you go ahead and look for this video, racing a Porsche 991 GT3, if you click back through here, you kind of see I'm talking about the cars, but it's actually interesting my car is just as it was. You can see it with the orange charge pipes on there. You have to kind of scroll through. It's actually quite interesting, but it's good to see that the car is still running. It's actually funny when you listen to the video because the guys talk about the car being the fastest one out of the group. I don't know why YouTube is doing this. It's doing it on my videos too, by the way. You press it and you wait and it'll start loading. But they talk about how fast the car is, and nobody seems to talk about, hey, the car is modified and it makes 150 horsepower more than it did from the factory. So it's actually kind of funny that they're just like, hey, this is way quicker than a Porsche GT3. Well, yeah, it makes 700 horsepower and it used to make 573. So pretty cool video. Go ahead and watch it. It's kind of a testament to how good the NSX is. And even though I was a little afraid of it, and I was afraid that it might break and then it would change my future and I'd be bankrupt for the rest of my life and I'd never recover, apparently the car is quite a bit stronger. You see over here, it's still got my orange charge pipes and the LHT couplers on there. Very cool. So thought you might find that interesting. So talking of interesting, my friend Lee just brought this over. It's an old picture of my CRX, my Tahitian green CRX, when I was doing one of my many engine swaps. I changed engines in that thing so many times. See how old it is. It even has the old block lettering. LHT Performance doesn't have the logo. Very cool. You want to see what is even cooler? This is a valve cover we had refinished in Tahitian green pearl. Doesn't look quite the same in this light. I've turned the big LED lights off, but it's pretty cool. Watch this. Hey Siri, turn on the flashlight.
It's on.
There you go. You can kind of see the color of it now. You guys are going to enjoy this video coming up. Tahitian green CRX. Okay, at last the AM is in. We're ready to roll. He has a factory lip, which is the hardware right there. I'm not going to put that on yet. We're still waiting to hear back from the body shop if they can paint the bumper. Bumper has a little mark on each side right there and there. I don't know what that is from. Looks like it had one of those license plates on that might have tightened down onto it. I've seen those marks before, but everything is done. Everything on the list. Let's go ahead and officially cross those off. Everything is done. This is the last one to do. Okay, so something I just noticed, this little rubber piece, it sits right about here. I'm going to move it and put it so it sits on here and it protects this. So it's probably glued down. What I'm going to do is kind of gently twist it and break it loose off there, and put a little bit of glue on there, put it back into place. There we go. That sits right over there. Let's give that a little bit of protection. So we are heading to Superior. The S2000 is done. It's like a week and a half later. It's Friday. Actually, no, it's just exactly a week later. It's exactly a week later. Let's just change that. So they've done the paint work. We're going to pick it up. Just going to look it over. I think there's a couple of little things we might have to do. And then he picks it up on Monday. Or should I say, he sends a truck on Monday. Got George with us. Yeah. George is going to drive it back. And nice thing is it's right up there. You guys know where it is. You go up to this light. So up here, right across from the big ginormous American flag, which is at half mast. Why is it at half mast?
haven't been paying attention to the news.
No, it's always something. It's like that flag reminds you that there's bad news somewhere because it's always at half-mast. So anyway, Superior, right there. All right, there it is, all ready to go, all clean. You see some of the stuff in their parking lot? That's some neat wheels. Mustang, Fusion, Nissan. Don't know. It's definitely pretty. Look at that, you remember the bumper? Look at that. That looks so much better with that lip, doesn't it? I'm gonna watch you. I'm gonna pull it up here, then back it out over there. Don't take it off, dude. Just put your hands through the plastic. They did put the CR shift knob on too. I was gonna leave that right until the end just to it didn't get messed up. And he has a new one of these. I didn't want to put it on just in case it did get scrubbed here. Yeah, I didn't want to even touch that shift knob. All right.
I grew up in Frank.
Oh, what is that? Oh, it's just, it was like lint on there from like a rag, you know, where you get static. Look how pretty this thing is. This is beautiful. For all your naturally aspirated guys, I don't try and talk everybody into boost, I really don't. This one is as nice as they get, it really is. And it's going all the way back to California, and the beauty of it is it's going on an enclosed trailer this time, so it won't get all messed up and dirty. All right, let's go back to LHD. I did want to get a sound clip of it going down the street. Help if I put my car in drive. I'm like, why did he shift? I just put it in manual and it tacked out. It's $6 grand. Until I'm used to going fast in this truck, can't you? Let's get a sound clip of it as he turns here. Alright, hopefully it waits. Here's your sound clip, guys. Ready? You hear that? Sounds great. It's a little bit loud, but it sounds good. How pretty that car is. It looks so nice and yellow. That's a nice car, isn't it?
The car is nice. I don't like the exhaust though.
You know I'm filming, right?
Yes, you're filming. It's a little too loud for me. I'm getting
Yeah. You're over the loud exhaust. It's a pretty car. It sounds good from behind it.
Oh, it sounds great. It's just, I mean, I wouldn't want to do it every day. But
No.
I don't think this guy does either. So.
No, I don't think it is. It's something you appreciate more if it's like a weekend car.
Yeah.
But every day, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm getting old. All right, so I've been in charge of lunches since Esther's been away. So we're having a nice turkey breast, oven roasted, and cheese, and an apple each, and some veggie chips. Yes, so that's what is for lunch. So these are the other parts that he wanted painted, the backs of the seats. I mean, I wasn't real crazy about the idea when he told us, but now it's done. It actually looks kind of cool. It adds a little bit of color on the inside. These are like a dark silver from the factory. So from this angle here, when that other seat is pushed back, it looks pretty good. What do you think, guys? I know I heard somebody wanted to paint these one time. I don't like the idea of that at all, especially in yellow, because the CR, in my opinion, when all this is yellow back here, it looks a little bit toyish. It's a little bit too yellow. It looks good on the black car, but not on the yellow. That's just my opinion. Again, it's not that it's horrible. I just don't like it as much. It's just, look at that sparkle in there. All right, all done. We just went over, checked everything, double checking it again, and then it's ready to go. Just give you like a timeline. Today is Friday. It's getting picked up Monday, which is Memorial Day. Truck is coming for it, hopefully is on time. And then I'm guessing 5-6 days he should have it back. All right, the day has come. The truck is finally here. So let's go ahead and start this baby up for the last time. So he has chose to use an enclosed carrier for the ride back, which I definitely advise. It's a little bit more money, but when a car is really, really clean And again, this car has just been fully detailed. It makes the ride back for the car a whole lot better. Now, going from Florida to California, there is probably 4 seasons that you're gonna cross through on that trek. Now, this is our carrier right here. He just drove down and turned around at our cul-de-sac. A lot of trucks will call us when they're 2 miles away and they're nervous of coming down this side street because Google will show that this is a dead end, and no one wants to bring a truck of that size down to a dead-end street and not be able to get out. So future truckers, if you're coming down here, it is a cul-de-sac at the end. You can turn around there. So I'm doing this for video, but I often do a walk around before a car leaves, just to make sure everyone knows what it looked like when it left. These truckers, just give you a heads up, everybody hears these nightmare stories about truck drivers. They do a really good job. You got to remember, if they're charging you X amount of money to get your car from point A to point B, they don't want to damage it, because all the money they made, they're potentially losing. So believe it or not, they're all very, very careful when it comes to loading and unloading cars. And I have done this a lot. We do probably 10-15 cars a year from state to state, and we've seen truckers from all walks of life, and they are very, very careful. So another thing, it's always cool to see what is getting transported from one side of the country to the other. And again, we see this a lot, but I forget to film it because obviously we've got a pretty diverse group of cars on here already. We have a super nice M4 right here. Looks like it's got the M Performance titanium exhaust on there. I don't know if that's titanium, looks stainless. And then we have, somebody want to comment what this is? Look at this. This beautiful Chevrolet Impala right here. I'm sure there is something else up there. I can't see it. This is a massive truck. He said he has 2 more up there. If he opens up, I'll show you what he's got there. But again, it's always cool because we see all kinds of cool cars. You know, you're just kind of hitching a ride on a bus with a whole bunch of characters. It's the best way to describe it, but the characters are cars. And who doesn't enjoy another car? If you're a true car guy, you appreciate and enjoy that car just as much as that car. This is something that they all do, extra care and attention. They want to make sure there is no marks on this before they took it, and you'd be amazed how picky drivers are. They want to make sure if there is a tiny blemish on it, it didn't come from them. So that's rest assured for you guys that are thinking about shipping your car across the country. A lot of people are nervous of this. I've done it many times. My last probably 5 cars that I bought have come to me on a truck, and I've had absolutely excellent service and no issues at all. And again, remember, their whole job is to get the car from point A to point B and not damage it. If not, they're going to lose whatever they just made in the damage. So just to add a little bit of confidence for you guys that are nervous about shipping a car. I mean, look at this car right here. This looks like a fully restored Chevy Impala. It's probably got a retail of more than this M4, and this M4 is beautiful. And if these guys are trusting shipping companies to move their babies around the country, just rest assured they'll do a good job for you. So hopefully you enjoyed the ending of the video and my little description of trucking life, and the fact that it isn't as scary as you think having a car shipped from one side of the country to the other. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. We're saying goodbye to the S2000. That was a really, really nice car. And we'll see you on the next video. And don't forget, hit the subscribe button. And of course, enjoy your cars.